welcome back to the show, part two with Danny Hall, the Sheffield Star, specialising on Sheffield United and being an author and, in fact, the proprietor of a publishing company, Vertical Editions, and Dom Howson, whose books have yet to come to fruition, but undoubtedly will be about Sheffield Wednesday one day. James Gregg, I'm delighted to see you here tonight. I thought you'd be at cricket.
Tomorrow.
You're at cricket tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Crikey, that's not worked out in the end today, is it? For England, I mean, thought we were going to shoot them out for less than 150.
It hasn't. I know. Yeah, I think I think the weather will play a part in this Test match as well. So I think actually it's probably not really going to matter too much, but it does, over the series, because you're kind of making a mark and making a stamp. I think England bowlers have probably done that. Everyone knew that Steve Smith was going to score all the runs, so.
What a brilliant innings! I mean, you got to hand it. You really got to hand it to the guy. And okay, he served his time. I heard Jeffrey Boycott today say, "Well, it's water under the bridge." It is. They've been punished, whether it's sufficient or not.
They've been punished officially. Yeah. Now the unofficial punishment comes in the form of booing and all that kind of thing.
That's just motivate them.
But I think it will, and I think also, if he carries on scoring hundreds and stuff like that, you can't continue to boo. You've got to appreciate.
Well, that's the best way to shut people up, isn't it? When something like that.
It was funny the England fans have turned up with sandpaper.
It's brilliant. Humour.
And it's the least that they would have expected as well, isn't it? Let's be real.
Okay, well, let's talk about what we expect on the football field this season. And the Sheffield Wednesday manager's job, I've left to this half because this half is slightly longer than the first half, and
you'll need it.
And obviously, the Steve Bruce situation couldn't have been envisaged by anybody at the start of the summer, and it clearly caused a problem. But Lee Bullen has helped smooth the Owls through it.
What Lee Bullen does, isn't it?
Yeah.
Third time in 18 months that he's stepped into the breach. So,
is this time that he is given a shot at it? I mean, he knows he's taking the first game. Do you see that as just one game, or do you think that this could be an audition for the job? Will he get 2 or 3?
I wouldn't rule out that Lee Bullen could get the job on a full-time basis, and clearly, if he gets a positive result on Saturday, that's going to have a positive bearing on him having a chance of getting the job on a full-time basis. But I think that the noises coming out from the club the suggestion seems to be that I think they're going to go in a different direction, and that clearly they didn't envisage, with less than 3 weeks to go until the start of the season, that Steve Bruce would go. They'd put all their eggs in the Steve Bruce basket, and then of course they're now having to sort of look for a replacement as the countdown's on until the start of the season, and then on top of that you've also got the transfer market, so it's not an ideal situation all round.
And you were saying to us beforehand over a cup of tea, or in fact you guys were over a pint across the road. You sneak one in, didn't you? You were saying that you couldn't think of another parallel of a club going into a season with a caretaker manager, and I can't either.
I remember Kevin Blackwell getting the sack at Sheffield United. Was it the second game in after QPR at home?
Yeah.
I think he got pictured in a taxi by us, so I think we did, as a headline on the Monday paper, I think we did taxi for Blackwell. I think we might have actually done that.
Remember how that season panned out?
Well,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. And then I remember, I think Mark Robbins actually at Huddersfield, they'd lost 4-0 at home to Bournemouth on the opening day of the season. He got the sack straight after that game. Yeah. But I can't think of a situation where a caretaker is actually taking a team into the start of the season.
Yeah, if you out there, if you can think of a scenario, I'm sure there has been one.
I'm sure there has been. Myself,
We'd like to know. So,
get in touch, tweet
one of us, and we'll have a look at the phones in 10 minutes and just see if anybody has. So, I think we're all on the same page that the ideal man would be Chris Hughton. I think not only journalists are on that page, probably the man who matters at Sheffield Wednesday is on that page. Clearly,
conversations have taken place with Chris Hughton, but it still sounds as if really that Chris Hughton, he regards himself, and rightly so in many ways, as a Premier League manager. The fact is that he's proven himself at the top level, that he took Brighton up and he kept them in the Premier League 2 seasons in a row, and Chris Hughton's, he's 61, and he'd be looking at it and thinking that, if he hangs around for a little bit longer, the first Premier League club that comes available, he's going to be in contention.
A few problems with that though, Dom, because he could become an Alan Kirbishley, where he kind of holds out and holds out and holds out, and the next thing he never gets a job.
You get forgotten about.
Or also, let's say he does take the Wednesday job in 2 or 3 weeks' time. The fact that he's shown reticence to kind of take it isn't really going to fill the fans with confidence. I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't mind because they're all clamouring for it. But
also,
it's that reticence to kind of take it, isn't it?
I think
the fans would take more pride in it over the fact they persuaded.
But then also, I think that Chris Hughton, he would have won assurances over, and I completely get on board with this. The fact that it was only last week the club came out of being in a soft embargo officially. So, look at the businesses Steve Bruce managed before, he left Sheffield Wednesday. There were three transfers. That's all the business Sheffield Wednesday done. So in terms of money and ability to actually manoeuvre this team and strengthen the squad, it's not there, or it hasn't been there, and it's really going to come too late for this window. And also, I think this is what the tricky part, and I keep looking at this and thinking, this is where it's hard for Sheffield Wednesday right now, is that you're trying to appoint a new manager, and the season's about to start, you're going in with a caretaker, the transfer window's about to close. Whoever comes in, they're going to have to effectively work with at least another manager's old squad, if not two.
I agree.
For half a season. This season, it's a bit of a write-off in that respect of
carry it on, because the same methods as Steve Bruce, they were very similar psyche.
Yeah, I think it's now or never. I think really for Lee Bourne, for me, in terms of the way I look at it, I think if Lee Bourne doesn't get the job this time, it's not going to happen for Lee Bourne under this chairman.
He should.
And this chairman, by the way, who thinks a lot of him, and he respects the fact that he stepped in and that, that in difficult situations over the course of the last 18 months, and he's done good jobs when he stepped in as caretaker. But then, the chairman has to weigh everything up and go, what he believes is going to be right for the football club, and so it's a big decision, Mike. Wednesday have to get this right. The stability's not been there since Carlos Carvalho left.
So actually,
it's the one
constant has been him, hasn't it? It's been Lee Bourne.
And so, but if you look at it from Lee Bourne's point of view, if he doesn't get the job this time, that's the third time he's missed out on it. And so, Lee Bourne, I know, and you'll know as well, Alan, that he's harboured certainly ambitions in the past of becoming a manager. And so, if he wants to become a manager still, he may have to start looking elsewhere. And he has been at Sheffield Wednesday for a long time now. He regards it as his club. He's part of the furniture.
He's at a crossroads, without a doubt. And I agree entirely with you that if he doesn't get the job this time, rather than being part of another manager's backroom team, he'd be well advised, I think, to say, right, I'm going to look for a job, maybe League One, League Two, and I think he'd be in the frame at quite a few.
Definitely,
because of the experience he's got.
You have to look up at the bigger picture.
Who are you? Who are you? I mean, the odds change day to day on this. I mean, Houghton's still there quite high. Chris Coleman has been a favourite for quite some time. Nothing against him, but I find his record patchy as a club manager.
Patchy, I think you might be being polite there.
Yes.
I think at international level he was a revelation at Wales, but at club level, Coventry, Sunderland, Real Sociedad, various clubs, he hasn't delivered, to put it mildly.
Two different jobs, aren't they? What's the kind of feeling that you've got amongst the Wednesday fans about Chris Coleman? Because if it was off the back of the Euros, there'd have been a bit of a clamour, wouldn't they? He was, at the time when he took the Sunderland job over, I think people were looking at it and going that it's a coup for Sunderland to have got Chris Coleman. It was, I don't know why he left that Wales job.
People were thinking he was going to get a bigger job than Sunderland, and they are a big club in their own right, but at the time they're thinking he's going to get a top-end championship club, possibly even a Premier League club. So I'd be surprised if it was a Chris Coleman. I'd be surprised if it was a Tony Pulis.
Gary Rowett?
Gary Rowett, has constantly been up there in the bookmakers' odds. Now, let's be fair, he did flop at Stoke last year. He underperformed, he didn't produce. But then you look at the previous jobs, and I think he did a great job at Birmingham and Derby, getting them to the playoffs.
Burton before that. Very
before
impressive.
that, very true. Gary Rowett, for me, and Gary Monk, are good British candidates out there who, if you can't get, and to me, reading between the lines, I think that Chris Hughton, along with Tony Pulis, they've been the two ones throughout the last fortnight. They've been sounded out, and conversations have taken place with representatives of both Hughton and Pulis. And I do think that the preference was always that Hughton was identified as the number one choice, but it's now been a couple of weeks, and you're thinking that I think Wednesday are moving on, and they're even looking again at the foreign. No, I wouldn't rule out Tony Pulis just yet, but I think they're certainly considering the foreign market. I mean, really, I think to me, someone who has also figured in the bookmakers odds, who I think would be a good young British manager, is I like Dan Cowley a lot at Lincoln.
Oh, big time.
He had 2 promotions in the last 3 years. I think his stock is on the rise. I expect Lincoln to do really well this season. So if you're looking at British managers, young ones coming through, I think he'd be right up there. You know, of course, compensation would be a factor, and
competition as well.
Competition.
They do it right. There's no doubt they do it right. Another one, and here's one that I think, reading between the lines on the grapevine, would be interested in the job. And that's Paul Cook of Wigan, who's had an outstanding record wherever he's been: Chesterfield, Portsmouth, Wigan Athletic. Very much still a coming manager, even though he's not a young man.
No.
And plays also a pleasing brand of football. But he hasn't been mentioned in the odds.
Not really, no.
At all.
No, I think he's one that they would have looked at in the hierarchy, and you know they like the attractive style of play. You see, you'd be going in opposite direction, really. You look at the 3 permanent managerial appointments that Dave Ponchanseri's made, and so 2 of them have been from abroad, and then Steve Bruce. They have got a wealth of experience. So to the idea of, with this appointment, where they're only just coming out of a soft embargo, they're not spending as big, they're probably cutting the cloth accordingly more. Are they going to take a risk, really, in a younger manager or a guy who's not got as much pedigree as a Steve Bruce or Carlos Carvalho,
I don't
where
see
they
them
manage
taking a
big
risk on a
clubs?
young one.
No, I don't personally, and so that's why I think we may be going towards it could be from abroad. Don't be surprised if it is
All right,
from abroad.
but if there's still some deliberation going on, and Lee Bullen gets, say, 7 points from his first 3 games.
Oh, he gives them a decision to make, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it's going well, and you don't want to disrupt it. I
remember Dave Jones, Stuart Gray, when he stepped in, he did exactly the same. Stuart Gray he is the man in possession.
Yes,
it's the same. It's like it's the same as a player, isn't it? You know, like you are. You know, if you've got a spot on the team, you're in possession of that team. It's down to you to drop off in your form. As a manager, it's about results. It's
about carry support from players, good relationships with them. It's up to them. If they really want Lee to get the job, then the ball is in their court.
It's like you said before as well, it's almost a perfect storm for Lee in terms of it's a free hit. Completely. There's similarities in terms of the job to Frank at Chelsea, I think. You know, a bit of a club legend. He's got
a bit more time.
It's the club in a kind of a transition period, almost like, you know, he's got a lot of goodwill.
I hear your point, but I also think that there's pressure on this as well. That I think he knows deep down that this is probably his last chance to get the managerial appointment. The number one job, and if and he's put his hat in the ring, he wants it. He thinks he's ready, and so.
But he's not a novice. He's 48 years old. He's got all the coaching badges, all the qualifications. He's actually shown when he's been at the helm that he can turn things.
Knows the club, knows the players, knows the division.
I mean, I think there's a lot of credibility to it, but we'll see.
I agree.
We'll move on, because I can hear the Blade screaming at this at the TV and saying, "Look, but we're about to sign a player for £20 million, or rising to £20 million. Ollie McBurney."
Yeah,
looks a super signing that.
I really like him. Yeah, I liked him from when he was For a start, signing him will stop the habit of him always scoring against United. I know they're not in the same division this season, but he almost, I think he's scored 3 in the last 3 seasons or whatever. When he was at Barnsley, he scored as well. Probably have to sort that beard out as well once he gets in. But no, I think he has everything, doesn't he? You know, he's almost it's difficult to pick out his strength because he's almost an all-round kind of striker, isn't he?
He's got the physical.
Good in the air, he's good on the ball as well. I think he scored a goal against Wednesday, didn't he? It was at Barnsley. I saw that quite recently.
Scores against most.
Picked the ball up and beat 2 or 3 players and
And when you look through, I mean, Callum Robinson, always very impressive when you see him in the Championship.
Incredibly,
Luke Freeman certainly as well.
They all fit the profile, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, in terms of identifying mostly the best players from the league below.
Ben Osborne's been a good.
Yeah, exactly. If not,
fantastic.
people with a point to prove. You look at Lise Mousset, even look at Phil Jagielka. You know, people will be writing him off. He doesn't quite fit the profile of up-and-coming player, being 36. But again, a bit of Premier League experience, which is important. And I look at the signings that Chris and Paul Mitchell have made, and Alan Nill, and think, you know, you can see merit in every single one of them. So
absolutely,
squeeze every single.
It's Ravel Morrison is the fascinating one.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
I hope it takes off. I actually do, because I think, you know, I remember the FA Youth Cup game of 8 years ago at Bramall Lane, and when everyone was touting him for big things, and there's so much talent there that has been unfulfilled so far, and it would be typical, really, of Chris Wilder if he's the one to unlock it. We've seen it with even Gary Medine a little bit last year.
Leon Clark as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He said here, didn't he, a couple of weeks ago, Chris, that this was the guy that maybe could produce that flash of brilliance, the moment of the unexpected moment.
And they need that, don't they? You know,
which he felt that they haven't really got, and that's the rationale behind it.
And if he gets it right, you know, multi-million-pound player.
Correct,
it'd be incredible.
It's low risk, high reward.
Exactly.
And if not, you know, see you later.
I like the way it's structured as well, in terms of, you know, the onus is on him now to kind of prove it.
To earn another contract.
And by all accounts, you know, he's been brilliant since he's come in, attitude and in effort and everything.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's some good reading. You've got your copy.
I've got my copy. Yeah, it's just over there offset. Yeah,
we
brilliant.
can't let the opportunity go without you sell it to people. We've tried to sell it for you with various reviews. Sell it to them.
It is what it says on the tin. You know, the story of Sheffield United's promotion season. Pretty similar format to the first one. He's one of our own, so a mixture of fans, players, the manager, and a bit of my musings as well. If people need that, send them to sleep or whatever.
You are perfectly qualified, because you do go to every single game, as a lot of the fans who contribute do as well.
You almost see a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. You get to see, you know, a side of it that perhaps fans don't really see, you know, in terms of behind the scenes and that kind of thing. And I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of context to the season, really. You know, how you know, players are feeling at certain points, the ups and downs, because, you know, people forget the first two games, they were bottom of the league, and people are thinking, maybe second season in the Championship, they might struggle. So how they kind of reacted to that, you know, the ups and downs of games like Villa away, which we all remember.
Correct.
Dean Henderson spoke really honestly about that. Actually, it was
I read. I've seen snippets of that.
That was an interesting interview. It was an interesting character.
Well, he doesn't
it was always good value. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's good value.
So it is a great read. I've had a flick through it, and it's extremely entertaining and a great record of a fantastic season that will be talked about for many, many years.
Yeah, I think Chris said it. Was it last week when he was on? He said, you know, as a you know, a fan or whatever, you'd love to read a similar book about the 70-71 team, or, you know, teams of the past, but there isn't any.
No.
So, you know, people kind of, you know, if it's a record that people read in 10, 20 years of a season, then I'll be happy with that.
Incredible. Brilliant stuff.
A bit of immortality for Danny Hall.
Amazing, yeah.
So,
I bought the last copy, so it's great, thank you.
You bought that? I would never stoop that low, mate. Tell us what's going on then elsewhere.
We'll start with Wednesday, shall we? Because, of course, they start their season at Reading, 3 p.m. Saturday. All their prep is done. Lee Bullen set to address the media tomorrow afternoon for the first tomorrow morning.
He's kept the same time as Steve Bruce, 9 o'clock on. That's telling.
Is that going to be a regular thing? Is it tomorrow? You know, on a Friday? Do we think, or
possibly?
There we go.
Depends, doesn't it? Really? It
does. Yeah. Depends if he gets the job.
About this caretaker thing.
With that, actually, I was going to say, have a look on your phone.
Yeah, the caretaker thing. This is John Osborne, who writes the blog View from John Street, who wrote a review of your book this week. He says, Mike Phelan at Hull, who replaced Steve Bruce in the summer as caretaker and was given the permanent job early into the season. I think I'm right in saying that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
correct. Yeah.
Mike Phelan, well done, John. Right, well on the ball. I don't think anybody else has replied on that.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
There you
We've thought of one, haven't we?
Yeah,
So there we
we've
go.
got one. There's always one.
Well, we
There's
have.
always
We're
somebody.
not taking credit. Thank you very much for getting in touch with us, by the way.
Yeah.
So of course, Wednesday begin their season on Saturday, because it's come around quick, hasn't it? Sheffield United, meanwhile, they've got another week's prep. One more signing set to be announced in due course as well. We'll look out for that one. No secrets there, of course. Pictures on social media circulating of Ollie McBurney as well in a Sheffield United shirt ahead of his unveiling. They've got Stade Rennes on Saturday in their final friendly match. They've also played against Hallam on Tuesday night.
I'm going to that. Sandygate, yeah.
I think I might join you, Alan, actually.
Yeah, come down, yeah. It should be a great evening.
Be great, yeah.
Good crowd. It's Chris Wilder's local ground. He'd probably be able to walk down
I think
there.
he probably will.
You would as well.
Yeah, I would actually. Yeah. Just a little stroll down the hill to Sandygate. So if you are a loose end and you don't fancy the trip to Stade Rennes on Saturday, that's probably the place to see some of Sheffield United's players in action there.
Definitely.
Also, Blades ladies, they've got a friendly this weekend as well against Everton ladies. Sheffield Eagles, they've got Widnes Vikings tomorrow night at the Olympic Legacy Park. They're 6th in the Super League table. Of course, they beat Batley last week. So Mark Aston's men need a strong finish to the season to make those middle 8 between the Super League and the Championship. A little shout out as well, we don't really cover much local cricket on this programme anymore because there's so many clubs. There's obviously the South Yorkshire League. If we went through them all, it'd take up a full programme in itself. But Sheffield Collegiate Cricket Club, of course, one of the premier clubs playing the Yorkshire League, lots of honours and national honours over the years. They're actually into the national quarter-finals of the T20 competition. Next round is at Hanging Heaton in a couple of weeks' time on a Sunday. They did so well last weekend at Cleethorpes in the Yorkshire finals, won both their matches there, of course. Joe Root, of course, from Sheffield Collegiate Cricket Club, if you didn't know that. Billy Root as well, he's in action tonight for Glamorgan. If you fancy flicking over and you've had enough of us, you can flick over and see him batting as we speak for Glamorgan in T20 Blast action. And also just finish off with a bit of golf as well. English amateur this week down at Surrey. 3 Sheffielders have made it through to the last 16. Sam Ruck from Lindrick Golf Club, Sam Bairstow from Hallows Golf Club, and Fitzpatrick, no, not that one, Alex Fitzpatrick, he's also into the last 16 from Hallamshire Golf Club. So good luck to them as well. We'll see how they fare next week.
Good luck. Thanks very much, James. Coming to the close, we talked about Wednesday signings and Lee Bullen identifying pretty much the needs that you did in terms of 3 new ones. When are they going to get rid of some? They've got too many.
It's
top
easier
heavy.
said than done. It's easier said than done. You've got to have. It is, but then if you don't have the interest there, if there's not.
Or is there any substance in the overpricing? I mean, you Lucas Yao, would you really quote £8 million for your Lucas Yao?
I'm not sure that was entirely accurate. No, I don't know as if that is the valuation that they've placed on Lucas Yao of
If it
$8
is,
million.
it's a bit steep.
I probably would agree with you. But I would expect that there will be some outgoings.
Loans, probably.
No, possibly a permanent or two. But I would think that you look across the Championship and just all the divisions that come next Thursday, well, Championship and Premier League, that's when they have to have the business
But this is
done.
to avoid future transfer embargoes and FFP issues.
But I would think that there will be some, certainly maybe panic buys or last minute deals.
You think there's going to be plenty of action, don't you?
I think there'll be a bit, yeah. I think there'll be ins and outs. I would think 4 or 5 deals.
Sheffield United, well, 4 or 5 deals, says Dom Howson. Sheffield United, near enough done their business now.
Looking in good shape,
Not looking to see anybody leaving either. There's no speculation
no,
about
which is good.
Refreshing.
Probably looking to add another midfielder, I think.
Yes.
To kind of beef things up there.
Yeah, Bayliss has been linked at Coventry, around the right age, the right player for possibly Tom Bayliss. Danny Hall, thanks very much indeed. Dom Howson, thank you. James, thank you. We're going to take another break next week. Back in a fortnight. Thanks for watching. See you then. Bye.